So last week we spoke about like New Year's resolutions. And I know like you're on like the dating app scene. Are there any like experience you've had or things like you want to leave in the past or like things you've learned from like
my very first year?
Yeah, your first year of being on the apps.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry, that's starting with the laughter. Because this is fresh in my mind of last night. I was hanging out with my like Filipina crew and, you know, just talking about dating also like this and the whole on the profiles where it says occupation, because this had come up with people who I've been on dates with, and also when I'm scrolling through profiles, occupation, it says, for example, one that I saw, physical therapist. And later I find out that this person was a physical therapist assistant, which is fine. It's a great job, no problem at all, but it's the whole issue of those are two very different things.
Different education, different
licensing, etc. And so I asked these two because I was like, it didn't really bother me, but it's like, oh, mental note, good to know. Did not disclose that completely, honestly true for whatever reasons. But these two girls who, one Filipino American med school student and the other all but her dis getting her PhD at UNLV. They both at the same time were like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It matters because of like the years of like schooling that they are going through and have gone through. It matters. Yeah. Like, and they're like, because I prefaced it by saying, I don't mean to be a snob about it. But, and then they're like, no, it's not about being a snob.
And I don't think, because you weren't really affected by it.
I wasn't affected by it.
But it was like, like, would I, like, it is very different.
Right?
I mean, just in like salary wise as well. I'm assuming that it's like
and that might be, you know, I can't speak for the male perspective, but that possibly could be reasons why gentlemen might not be fully disclosing all of that for whatever reason. Or I could be wrong and she's like, oh, you know, people, if they don't know that field, let's just put physical therapy or whatever, just to generalize it. But
do you think it's more of a male thing versus a female thing that they like pump up their...
I think so. You see, medicine or like
medicine,
pharmacy, and then like my friends.
And then do you find out that they aren't actually pharmacists or doctors?
That was the one instance with a physical therapy example, but like these friends were hilarious last night. Like, that's just like somebody saying, putting pharmacy, and they're a pharmacy tech or medicine, and they're like a medical assistant.
Or they work at Rite Aid.
Right? Yeah. And they're like, or like,
which there's nothing wrong with.
Yeah, nothing wrong.
But they were saying like, be proud of like what you have accomplished.
Okay.
And what you're doing.
Yeah. Why do you have to like keep it vague? Yeah. You know, and that might show something of like, oh, are you insecure about what you do? Or I might be projecting that, but when it comes down to it, be proud of what you do. Yeah. Right? You know, like, own it. Yeah. It's, again, it isn't being about the snob. It's like,
especially since they're both like going through that path of becoming doctors and something like, and they know exactly like how much time, effort, schooling that it takes.
That's why they were
to kind of like pose as like something else.
They were passionate.
And you're gonna find out. I mean, unless you're like a super pathological liar, where you can like keep up this charade for
I'm sure there
a
are
long
people
time.
out there like that too.
But I mean, he eventually came out and told you like right away, right? That it was, oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to keep out. Yeah, it was like, oh, kind of hearing about, because I do know somewhat of that field. I have a lot of like people in the medical field of like, yeah, there's physicians, physician assistants, and all of that's like, you know, there's a hierarchy and different job descriptions and functions for each person.
Yeah.
So I was asking more, pretending I didn't know anything about like physical therapy. It's like, oh, so what do you do exactly? And oh, what does the physical therapist do? And yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Pretending, like, just trying to get it out. So,
Yeah.
But I find that interesting with the dating apps of how, like,
Have you seen other instances of that?
No. No, that was
Could it be a one-off with this person, or do you think it's like a thing that happens a lot?
I think it happens a lot because when I'm scrolling, because you see it a lot with the vagueness when people put
Vagueness. So instead of saying like I'm a orthopedic doctor,
yeah, medicine,
yeah,
pharmacy.
Interesting.
Yeah, like it's, yeah.
Because I worked at like the court for a long time as a clerk, so I would just be like law.
Would you say that though? No, because I don't know with other fields. I was like, that's why I'm
Because
like,
if I saw law, I would think you were a lawyer. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or like if you were a judge, you'd put judge of superior court or something, or like,
Right.
or like criminal lawyer or something. But like I get like the vagueness where like they can get away with
See,
it.
so that's what I wonder with like, okay,
Because you can be specific, right?
you
like,
can absolutely, you get to write whatever you want.
Oh,
on there.
okay,
It's
so
not
it's not like
a
a choose thing.
You write what you want on there. So
That's
that's why I was
funny.
like, it's absolutely purposeful with what people choose to write and describe
Yeah.
themselves. So that's what makes me wonder. Okay, let's put it on myself. What did I put on my profile?
Oh, yeah.
I put educator slash consultant slash artist.
Okay.
I think. And I'm like trying to check myself.
Yeah.
Am I misleading in any way?
What does consultant mean?
Consultant, because I work for my parents. And
okay.
Officially I am it's too hard to put RCFE administrator. Like, the f- does that mean? The majority of people will not know what that is. And
Is like a consultant something that like
because I actually do
translates
consult for them. Like, it's because even though they've been doing this for years, again, that Filipino American experience where, you know, love them. They paid for my education in here, and I know how to use technology, and, you know, I will keep up to date with regulations and all that stuff. Know how, especially during COVID, how to execute the plans. My parents did not know how to do any of that. So especially during that time, that's a specific example where I had to do a lot of consulting and even create spreadsheets and create a system for them, because my parents did not know how to approach that at all. So that's an example of when I put consultant, because my parents don't know how to do a lot of things. They have to ask me, what do you think about this, Anak? Or like, here's a case scenario for this specific client. They haven't paid X amount of months. What do you think? You know, so that's how I define consultant. Okay. And that's why I'm like, I don't want to mislead, but, you know, that is part of my work. I do, not so much anymore. I might take that off one day. But educator, I mean, I could put adjunct professor, but again, it's so long. But I am I think a lot of us in the field of education who are teachers put education. So I think educator, I don't put education, I put educator, because I am.
But you are a teacher.
I am.
Yeah, so it's not like I'm educator, but I'm like
I don't
even know what it would be.
Specifically, because I think at the time
like
when
teacher's
I created,
aide or something.
Yeah, teacher's aide. I don't know if teacher's aides would put educator. I have no idea, but I know for me at least, I feel comfortable with my descriptors, especially at the time when I created it. I was putting it into the universe because I was applying for adjunct professor positions, and I already was educating because I do teen confirmation. So I do lesson planning and teach that. And I know I am going to be an educator. It's just a matter of time. And I'm in a performance pedagogy program. So I was like, I feel comfortable with that. And lo and behold, a few months later, I am an educator.
Yeah.
So I was like, now I can actually tweak that and put
Is
adjunct
he
professor.
like on his way to become a physical therapist?
No.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't even want to stay in that field and is miserable.
Okay. So it's not like, oh, like I'm getting like my licensing. So would it be different if like he was like, you know, certain credits away from getting, I don't even know, what do you need?
That.
Like,
I would be like, oh, that makes sense.
or if he was a med student.
I would make that would make more sense to me. But I think there's straight up people who straight up
Yeah.
settled in their positions and absolutely define it in a very vague way. So I think those are two different things, right? With what.
But it
I just
didn't
said.
bother you when it came out.
No.
Okay.
But it is something I look at now, and I'm especially as I'm scrolling through dating apps and then getting to know people.
Why do you think it didn't bother you?
I think because number one, that's not my field, so I try to give people the benefit of the doubt of like, oh. But then once I talk to more people about it, especially hearing the girls' last date and hearing their perspective.
Because they're in the medical field, especially too.
Yeah. Especially from that med school student. Yeah.
Funny. You're like, absolutely not.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, being a girl on the apps, I don't know if that makes a difference with how you describe, but like other things this year with dating, I mean,
Yeah.
that dynamic of communicating and views with them. I think back on like times when I was younger of like dating or lack thereof, because I didn't really date. Did you date when you were younger? Like
I was just in like relationships.
You just went straight to relationships.
Yeah. I've had a relationship till I was married. Essentially. Yeah, I didn't really date.
See, at least I would not like that I was a prude or anything, because like, yeah, guys would hit on me and all that stuff. Not like the guys that knew me in school actually wouldn't, but like, you know, walking in the mall in the bay, yeah. Guys would holler like, "Oh, can I get your digits?"
Oh my
or
god, and they're
whatever.
so mean if like you didn't give it to them.
What kind of instances would you have?
I remember it was in Eastridge Mall in San Jose.
Eastridge Mall.
Yeah, and I was young. I think I was like in like 8th grade or something. And these kids looked way younger than me, trying to like get my number, like this little group of boys.
Aww.
And I was walking away and they're like, "You don't got any booty anyway."
Oh my gosh, they said that. How did you say no to them?
I was like, "Oh, no, thank you," or whatever.
So you even said no, thank you. And just
I'm nice to people.
Wow, and they
Yeah.
still said that.
They're young, little
Oh
like
my gosh!
kids.
Did they say it like jokingly, or were they just
No,
like
they
straight
were
up
mad.
pissed
Yeah, they
because
were
you
mad.
rejected?
Yeah, they were mad. Or
Oh,
like
okay.
I've given like a fake number out, which I know.
Oh, I totally
guys
done
are-
that.
And the guy called it right in front of me and was like, "This isn't your number." And I'm like, "Dude, like get a f***ing hint. Like, why can't we just say no and like not have to go through, like in our last podcast we were saying like no means no. Yeah, no is a full sentence. Why do we have to have three, like we have to have like 3 different excuses for saying no to a guy if they like want our number? Or if you're like, a lot of girls will lie and say they have like a boyfriend,
I've totally
or they're
said that.
married.
Yeah.
And then even guys will be like, "Oh, your man doesn't let you have friends," or whatever. And it's like, or, "Oh, you can't have any friends." Like,
No means no, or what you say. No means
if I wanted to give you my number, I would give you my number. Like, no questions asked. Like, I don't understand. And yeah, so.
See, so this is the difference with a lot of guys versus girls, because I've had this conversation with guy friends. One guy friend was adamant about how could you lie and say, I have a boyfriend? Why can't you just be honest and say, oh, I'm not interested, or whatever it is, just be honest. And my first reaction, I'll be straight. I'll be like, I feel bad, like it does take a lot of courage. She's like, yeah, it does. And he was like, it does take a lot of courage. So how dare you, like, but doesn't that person deserve to be talked to honestly when you respond? And I was like, okay, I see that point of view. But for me, I guess it is easier for me to, I'm like, what they don't know won't hurt them, you know? And I don't want to hurt somebody's ego, because it does take an effort to...
Isn't that crazy, though, that, like, we have to, like, put all this, like...
care and...
thought and care into, like, a stranger's well-being, because we don't want to offend them.
And to be fair, that was one instance, but there's other instances where like your mall stories of like, like, no, like, I'm just like, I'm like continuing walking. I'm not beelining, not even saying like, I have a boyfriend, just smiling and leaving, because it's just an easy no, and they'll say some remark like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So I get that point of view of guys, especially this friend, to his credit. Yeah, I'm sure you had to muster up the courage to approach a girl, and it does suck to, hear the no, and there are other things that we as women have to deal with, that you are not privy to. And you shed light on something, and I hope you describe it better, because it made me feel so much better.
I know, and it's crazy that it had to make you feel better. Like, you felt bad after this conversation with this friend of yours.
Yeah.
Where it's like, women, like, we have to come up with excuses, because there's that saying of, like... or that person who said, like, the one thing that, like, men are most afraid of is that women will laugh at them. And then, like, women's biggest fear is that men will kill them. And, like, that is horrifying. And that's another thing. Like, we make up these excuses or anything to, like, get us out of a situation safely. Because you don't know how it's gonna... You don't know how this person's gonna react. Like, maybe it'll be funny, like those kids at the mall. And it's, like, nothing. But... like I was telling you about that TikTok of that girl doing her get ready with me makeup, talking about how this friend of hers stood up for her from this guy that just wanted her Instagram and would not stop bugging her, and then attack the friend. And mind you, the friend did not help at all, which is insane to me as well. But like, you can't even just say no. You can't just say no. They need like so many like different excuses, and even then, like, no excuse is good enough unless they get what they want.
Exactly.
Which is crazy to me. And I don't know, I feel like in the conversation you had with that friend of yours that he also was talking about how, like, what he feels like obligated to be the one to go up to women, and the courage that it takes, like, guys to go up to women. And to me, I was like, he doesn't have to approach us. No. Like, you can leave us alone. Unless I'm giving you, like, eyes across the room, and, like, cues. I am giving you cues that make, like, women, like, we can, like, look at a guy, give them a look, and, like, there's, like... you already have that connection across the room. But if I'm just like with my friends, we haven't even made contact. I don't even know you're there. Maybe I've looked at you and I just kept like gazing because our eyes randomly made contact. I don't know what it is. Or if I did look at you and I felt some kind of way, maybe I changed my mind. But you don't have to come up to it. You don't. You do not have to come up to women.
Good on you for, like, shooting your shot. There's nothing wrong with shooting your shot. But
no.
You, like you're saying, we as women, we have the right
to say no.
To say no, no matter shape or form it is. And I think men don't understand what it's like to be a woman. And even if it is a nice guy with full... great intentions, there is that safety that we have to take upon ourselves of, you may never know. We don't know this stranger.
Exactly. We don't know who you are.
We don't know who you are. And it is okay for us to lie and say no if we don't want to.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the reason is. No,
we don't know you.
We don't know you.
We don't owe you anything.
We don't owe you anything.
Yeah, and it's just... And I get it, like, it's nerve-wracking, especially, like, when I talk to, like, my husband. Like, he's so shy, so for him to, like, gather
to come up and gather.
Yeah, I don't even know, like, how often he's, like, actually, like, gone. I think, like, he was telling me, like, his first girlfriend, like, they had just watched, what was that Vince Vaughn movie? That early one. God, what was that movie with him? Swingers! And I think he and his friends watched it, and he was, like, so pumped. And that was, like, the first time he went to a club, and he asked this girl, like, out. And that was his first girlfriend. That was his first girlfriend, yeah. And so, but he's usually so shy. So I get that aspect of, like, you know, you build up this courage, and then you get rejected.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard.
It's hard.
Yes.
And we're not discounting that. I think that's what we want to make clear. We don't want to male bash. No.
Because it's shitty
totally
if, like,
get that it's hard.
If, like... the girl also reacts like, ugh, or like...
And I think that's what the trigger was with that friend of that ew. Because I'm sure he has had that experience, but I'm like, but those are two different examples of what we're describing right now.
Yeah.
Ew, and
because
like,
women can be dicks too.
Yeah. But
it's the difference between like, oh, ew, I bruised your ego, and oh, I'm going to beat the shit out of you, maybe almost kill you.
Yeah, it's so complex. And I think, look at what we're doing. We're so understanding of the other side, but so many men don't look at it.
But I think there are a lot of men who do. Because when I told my husband about it, he was like, why is he getting like so upset? Like, and I told him my perspective, and he's like, absolutely, like... Yeah, so I think it's both ways. Like, there's men who are dicks, there's women who are dicks, but I mean, there are different consequences, I think, for both scenarios. But yeah, I mean, just, I mean, men don't have to, like, I remember, like, about that. In my community college, like, being in, like, my political science class, and there was a guy who was, like, really nice to me. And like, you can't even be nice without them thinking that like you want a relationship or something with them. Because then like eventually, like, I thought we were friends, like we were just like cool, like we never went out outside of class, we literally just talked in class. And then he eventually like asked me out, and I was like, oh no, thank you. Like, you're so sweet or whatever. Like, oh. Well, because it's nice. Yeah, like it's nice. And then he made some comment about like how like much credit he had on his credit card or something. What? And how he thought like I was like more mature than that to like go out with him or something.
I was not expecting that.
No, and I was like, ew, because he was like older. He wasn't like much older or whatever, but I don't know if he was trying to impress me. Like, I think the credit card thing happened before, and then he asked me out, and then he made some comment like, I thought you were more mature to like, you know, something about me being more mature about something.
To even basically say yes.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's like, oh, to say yes.
Yeah, where I was so really stupid. Just like, oh, no thanks. Like, it's hard to like even have like a friendship when there's like an ulterior motive, I guess. Like, I wonder if it was like started because of that. Because I do know in junior college again, this guy in one of my classes, he was really nice, and he got me my first job at this like ski snowboarding place, Any Mountain, which I should not be working there. I've never been to the snow. Can't help anybody with anything. But it's because he liked me. And then I eventually developed a crush on him, and then we eventually started dating, but then he like was in the military and he had to go off, and then he was such a dick to me like after. But anyway, I'm just saying, ulterior motive for being nice instead of just like being nice.
Can't we just be nice and until there's again cues and you know, communication? Dating, I don't know what it is, if just some guys just can't read the room, or sometimes it is hard to tell if a girl likes you. I totally get that. Sometimes it is difficult to read either way, you know, if somebody you're interested can reciprocate that. But there is a way how to handle the situation. And
like
from
a
the two
normal
examples that you
person.
said, yeah, be a normal, decent person about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I don't know if I've ever had like a scenario where someone asked me for like my number and I said no and they were cool about it. Have you? Like, I can't.
It seems so
like I feel like I have so many examples of saying no, and it's just like
it seems so long ago because we're again going back to dating apps. We're in such a different culture now.
And I've never done the dating app.
It's
because you can just be like, nah, delete.
Yeah, and everything is just chatting on that, you know, direct message where there's already kind of that mutual interest because you like their profile.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier on each person of, okay, you already take away that step of asking for somebody's number.
Sure.
Which is, okay, I'll give credit to, even though I like talk about like apps and I hate it, even though I use it, type of thing, it does break that barrier.
Yeah.
But I do miss those days of good old fashioned
organic
and
meeting
asking,
in person. Yeah.
even if, because yes, that was when we were younger, of asking for people's numbers and declining and all that stuff.
And that's also how a lot of relationships start, is like either the guy or girl goes up. That's how my relationship before I got married, he asked me out at a college party. We were together for years after that. But
it can work.
It can. Yeah. But also, like, I was, like, giving him, like, the,
Yeah, exactly. The same thing with me. Like, there's so many times where I was
he would
giving
have
cues.
said anything if I just, like, walked past him and didn't, you know, read people. A lot of people don't know how to read people. They don't.
That's the problem. They don't know how to read people.
Or they don't care.
Is that something that you can teach somebody, or is it just something that you have to be mindful of? I wonder if it's just
I definitely think you have to be mindful of it. Or is it something that people just aren't capable of? I don't know. Because I know, like my husband and I were talking about my dad yesterday. I was like, Dad can't read people at all. Like, at all. Just in general. And I know I have friends who can't read people at all. And it's just like, I don't know. If it's just they don't pay attention, it's not something that they feel like they have to. Who knows?
And that's a lot of it with dating. Of, like, reading the person. Like, I'm trying to think of, like...
Dating's even harder, though. Yeah. I feel dating's even harder because I feel like I've been into people and thought they were into me, and they weren't as into me as I thought they were. So I feel like I'm good at reading people, but I feel like in dating it's so different because, I don't know, maybe like your feelings cloud.
I think your feelings have to do with it too.
Yeah.
I think, for me personally though, I think I'm so overly, like, analytical on a date where I'm just thinking of, like, one of my last dates. I was already putting the vibe that I kind of wasn't into it, but I mean, I'm still nice. I'm still like respectful, and I'm already there. I'm gonna try to enjoy myself and have good conversation. But I was surprised that this person continued to message. Like, it's like, that's interesting. I'm like, I didn't put any cues, or usually, especially because it's one date.
Did you ever say, like,
we should do this again,
or I'm not interested?
No, because neither of us had the conversation of, like, oh, should we see each other, or would you want to go on another date?
The date just kind of
usually like, because it's a first date, neither from what I gather, and from talking to other people who go on first dates from a dating app, it's like, if it's never really discussed, it kind of just naturally fades because nothing has been established. And, like, oh, we just enjoyed each other's companies, and okay, done. And then, like, you know, next day, messaged again. And I was like, really? Because there's really no chemistry.
Maybe, though, he couldn't read you.
Exactly. I don't think he was able to.
Especially, I feel like men, because you said he was like a mansplainer, right?
Yeah.
I feel like men who mansplain don't listen, and they're not caring anything about what you're saying.
No.
So he's definitely not going to.
That makes sense, Dr. Stacie.
I'm not a doctor.
Absolutely.
I did not go through education. I'm not a doctor. I am in the medical field. Because I've gone to the doctor.
To be clear, everybody, not mislead anyone.
I'm not a doctor. Oh, God. I know, but yeah, dating is just, it's hard. It's hard to really find that, like, genuine connection with someone.
I think people just need to be decent and be comfortable with communicating effectively. But that's I don't think a lot of people know how to do that.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like a lot that goes into it. It's like the vibe you have, the connection that you have, like how you feel with this person. Because I know like you've been like okay with like touchy-feely stuff on first dates, but then not okay with it depending on guys. And like that guy was like you, I think you were honest with that first guy.
The first guy, my very first online date.
Yeah. And he took it well, right? Other than like asking you for what did he no
No, see, this is my boundaries of what I'm learning because he immediately, even before the handhold, when we were at dinner, when he's not the only one who does, I notice other guys who do this, when they go to the bathroom, grazes the back.
But if you were into him, you probably wouldn't be so revolted.
Yeah, but he couldn't even read it. You know, like it wasn't even. I wasn't given any cues. I wasn't anything. You're right. If I was maybe, but next up, when after dinner, he just grabbed my hand and didn't even like check. Not that you have to ask or anything, but there was no cues whatsoever. I know some girls like, I swing my hand next to it. I was like, I don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
Or some stuff with like guys, it's really cute, and they'll just go smile and stick their hand.
Yeah, because you felt something with them, but you felt nothing for him.
Straight up grabbed my hand though, like out of nowhere, and it felt a little like
on first date.
Yeah, like, and I didn't feel the vibe there, and then he started to touch my back, and I should have said, I was fine. I was like, I had to debate whether that felt comfortable, but when he straight up asked, can I kiss you? Your Grace. For those people who can't see Stacie's face, you just made this really like
girl, that's not the part I'm cringing about. The part I'm cringing about is that he asked you to rate him. He asked you when you told him that you didn't see a future. And he was like, "Oh, can you give me a rating for like what I did well or didn't do well for future dates?"
To his credit, he didn't say rating, but he did say, can you tell me what I can improve upon? Which is fair, I get it, but still, it is essentially a rating, of like, what did I do wrong? He did say, what did I do wrong? Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there's just nothing. It's just connection. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you tell him, though, that you didn't feel comfortable with, like, the touchy stuff?
I should have. But I think I kept it vague. And I didn't lie vague. It was like, I just don't feel a connection. You're a good guy. Like, some girls will absolutely love and adore what he brought to the table. Mm-hmm. But, I was like, there's just no
what can connection. I improve on? Like, what does that even mean? Were you yourself? Like, then they're just just wasn't, then we're just not meant to like be.
See, then you could see, like, I was like, oh, this is why it would never work between us, because you're trying to figure out a formula of what you think girls want, and not everybody's the same. It's just like you said, just be yourself. Are you being yourself?
Yeah, like what do you mean? What can I improve on? Yeah, that's so bizarre to me.
I don't know. Yeah. So let's see what 2024 has
in store for Marie.
Store for dating. I think we'll have that segment every.
It's gonna be a monthly segment.
Brief check-in of like, how's it going?
The top of every episode.
Because we haven't even talked about some doozies of a story of like crazy dates that I've been on last year. So I don't want to miss those anecdotes.
Okay, those will be fun. That'll be a fun podcast. Marie's crazy dates. I can throw some in there as well. Prior to being married.
I'm sure you have some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oldies but goodies.